Hey folks, this is Jason, and the name of this week's workshop is Don't Fence Me In. This is a start to finish fence workshop, so let's jump right in. How are fences similar to regular objects? Fences share many scene graph resources, e.g. the GMDC, TXTR, TXMT, with regular objects. That is to say, if you can build a deco object, you can build a fence. How are fences different from regular objects? Fences don't have OBJD or MMAT resources. That is to say, they're not recolorable. Fences have a unique XML or text resource called the XFNC that holds data such as whether the post can hold a lamp, whether the post can bear a load, etc. To get started, there are basically three types of fences. There's the flower bed edging, there's the classic rail fence, and then there's the column fence. The flower bed edging, it's pretty much deco, except it does cool things like hide the raw edge of floor tiles if you have exposed floor tiles, or exposed deck, that type of thing. It serves to give you a nice clean edge. The fence, it's just a barrier. It's just something that Sims can't walk through. It's great for fencing off areas that shouldn't be accessible to the general public, that type of thing. And you can put gates on them, and they're just pretty standard fences. The column fencing, what it does differently, it's like the rail fencing, but you can build floor tiles on top of it. It will support weight, which is pretty cool if you're doing a specialized type of build. To clone a fence, we go to Object Workshop, and then we go to Other Fences and Rails. And all of the Maxis fences are here. You would just need to clone from the appropriate type of fence. After we clone it, we wouldn't need to worry about the GUID that is generated in the XFence when you clone a new object. And then we would replace the TXTR as we normally would with a deco object, and that leaves the GMDC. For fences, the GMDC usually have three types: the straight rail, the diagonal rail, and the post. Except the flower bed edging, those don't have the post. Once we built a mesh, we just replace each of the GMDC with the correct mesh type: the straight, the diagonal, and the post. The X-fence. We're not really going to mess much with the X-fence, but we can do cool things with it, like give it a new GUID. And the cool thing about the GUID with the X-fence, it doesn't, if you have an object or like a buy or build mode object that has the same GUID as the X-fence, it doesn't conflict with the GIT in the X-fence. So you can have an object and an X-fence that have the same GIT, and they won't overwrite each other because the game sees them differently. And then we have things like may walkover, like for edging, and we have bear's load that distinguishes between a regular rail fence and a column fence. Finally, we have the STR. So you can fiddle with the price in the X fence, but it's not going to update it just because the way that newer versions of SimPE clone the fence. If we clone the fence and we need to change the price later, no, this section needs to be more expensive or whatever, we go to the STR. If fence doesn't have a regular CTSS because it's not a build or buy mode object, so we go to the STR. We add a line of text. That line 2, that is going to set the price for the object. And so we would just add, make the adjustment, commit, and save as we normally would for a text resource, and that will set the price for each section of fence.
Sorry, just a question about the XFence resource. Was there something there about a gate? Like if you, how does a fence know if a gate can be placed in it? Is that something you said here?
Uh, I believe by default, a column fence and just a regular fence railing have that as true. I do
Okay.
not see. Yeah, I don't see anything specifically to turn that off.
Okay.
Got gate, we got cost, we got the crapness and the depreciation are the niceness multiplier that is, I guess, how much it improves the environment score. Yeah, I don't see anything specifically about gates.
Okay.
So then we can assume like I've never built a fence section that didn't support a gate, so I'm assuming that it's by default. Oh, we
Maybe
got some.
the
Sorry, go ahead.
height value.
The height, I'm not quite sure what that does. I think it might has. I would probably have to compare a regular section of fence and a column fence side by side to see if there's a difference there. I think that might have something to do with column fences, but again, I'm not quite sure on that. So let's have a look at that in practice. To get started, you go File, Import Wavefront Object, and let's do the fence reference first. So this is a fence that I extracted. These are the parts that I extracted from a different object just for reference pieces. Then we go Import Wavefront, Workshop Fence Unmeshed. Okay, so we can see where our object is. Let's grab the default object. Let's move it on the x-axis only. So we're looking at that little blue line in the front viewport to tell us that we're on center. So we scroll in like that. Make sure we're as close to center as possible. That looks pretty good. Okay, then let's duplicate the section that the object that we're working on. Then we can hide our guides. And let's hide the default. And for this one, let's just delete everything except that one post there. So then the second one, the duplicate, this becomes post. Then we unhide our default, and this time we just delete both posts, so we just had that section of railing. Just like that. And then let's select that and duplicate it once more. Then hide the duplicate, unhide our straight guide. First, let's move this so that it lines up exactly with the guide on that one end. And then we can see we're about 2 pickets too long. So let's get rid of those. We're just going to leave the guide. Then we grab the ends of the railing and we move those back like so. Then we can hide the guide. Then we just select the pickets, not the railing. And we're just going to kind of eyeball those until they're center. And then we're going to name this section straight. Just like that. And then can hide straight, unhide the duplicate, and then unhide the diagonal guide. Select the duplicate, move it on down till it's square with that end. And then we select the other end of the rail and we move that until it's just flush with the other end. Just like that. Now we can hide our diagonal guide. You can see that we're still a couple of pickets short. So we take this duplicate, duplicate selection, and then we just want to get rid of that railing. So select, then unhide the diagonal section, and we're just going to move these down. We're just filling in a couple of pickets. Okay, so we moved it down to about there, and we can see that we're only really using 2 from that group. So we hide our railing, and in the new group that we created, we just delete everything except those 2 pickets. Unhide, and then we select both groups. We regroup, and let's rename that diagonal. Okay, we're done with the diagonal, so let's hide our diagonal. Let's unhide the post, and as a last step, I want to make sure that the top of this post is at the correct height to support a lantern. So we go to move. This time we don't isolate the X, we isolate the Y axis because we're only moving up and down. Let's put the bottom of that post flush with the guide. Now, we delete the guides. We unhide everything. Let's give this a quick save. Save it as white rail fence. And then we file, export, wavefront object. And let's just export that as white rail fence. Just like that. And that's it for Milkshape. We go to SimPE, and I've already got Object Workshop open. So we go to Other, Fences and Rails. And we've got a lot of choices. I'm going to try to find that. What's the name of it? Just the regular old cowboy fence.
The pine something?
Pine, yeah, Pine Gulcher is a good choice. It's pine. Like that Longhorn balustrade is probably a good choice. Low stakes fencing. We got the Pine Gulcher. That's a little bit more fancy. There it is. No.
Oh, was this where you had to be mindful of the price? Like clone one that is
Not-
of the price you want? Or can you change that? I didn't really understand.
We will change that. It's a
Oh.
bit tricky to understand, but there's a certain trick to it. I think that's base game. I'm going to call mine white wooden fence. Let's not worry about the price for now. And we rename the scene graph. Give it a quick update. And let's save that in the workshop folder. Okay. If we look at the XFNC, it looks like it generated a unique GID. And I think we're good to go. Okay. So select the TXTR. Once again, in the resource list. And then we go build DXT. This is just like a deco object. I don't know why by default this is DXT1. I guess because it doesn't need a lot of detail. It's just a crappy fence. Commit. And let's have a look at the GMDC. So we select the one, this one, we can see that it ends in, before TS locator, it says DIAG. So we know this is the diagonal section. So we import white rail fence and then straight. The straight section, we choose nothing. The diagonal section, we replace. And then the post, we do nothing. So we're only adding the diagonal section here. And that appears correct. This is the post. So we import, once again, white rail fence, this time straight, nothing, diagonal, nothing, and post, we're replacing this subset. Have a look. Yep, that looks about right. Commit. Then import. Sorry, this is, I should have explained, this is now the regular section, the straight section. We select that in the resource tree. Once again, we import white rail fence. Replace. So the straight replaces, and then diagonal is nothing, and post is nothing. So we just replace the straight section, and that looks correct. So that's the GMDC and the TXTR. Give that a quick save. Then select the STR in the text in the resource tree. Once again, in the resource list. Now you can see there are only 2 lines here. Normally for a deco object, you're going to have a CTSS resource, but in this case, it's just a regular STR. If we're not happy with the price, hold up, let's go back to the XFNC. Type, name, GID, cost. So that's telling you it's 5 simoleons per section. Say I don't want that. Say I want it to be 10 simoleons per section. We can edit it here, but that edit isn't going to stick. So what we need to do, go to the STR. We add a line of text. and then we change it to the decimal value, not the hex value, per section of fence. So say we want it to be 10 simoleons per section instead of 5. Then we just commit, we save, and we're good to go. We're ready to test that in game. Okay, so we go to our fences in build mode. Here we go. White wooden fence. It's 10 per section. So let's just replace that section. Whoa, didn't want to do that. What's up? Saying can't intersect other objects. Okay, I mean, I can build it. Oh, because there are OMSPs somewhere. So I was using an OMSP to have my sim sit on the fence when I was taking the pick. That's why. There it is. Okay. So we've got the straight section, the diagonal section, and the post look good. Now, question is, can that support a gate?
Funny thing is that gate that you just had selected, I'm trying to make a fence out of that.
This one here?
No, the one with the slats, but for some reason the textures aren't there, so I might have to try and figure that out later.
It might be slaved to a different object. Like,
Maybe.
Is there a white picket fence by any chance? Yeah. So it's possible that the gate is pulling the texture.
No, I'll have to explain it later, but it's it's the chain link slatted fence, the cheapest one, I think.
That one.
No, the cheaper one. The slats. No, the very first one.
Oh.
That one. I'm trying to figure out because it's got multiple textures. But I don't know where they are.
I don't know. I mean, post it if you can't figure it out. Post it on the help section, and maybe I can have a look. But it does support a gate. And let's check the post lighting. So I believe this one is designed to support post lighting as well. So we go to a post light, and there it is. So fences are really not too different from deco objects if you get right down to it. And that's pretty much it. We have tested it in game.